How about them Cowboys? Angry Cowboys fan. Born to battle. Start just means we never sell. America's team through thick and thin. When the sun shines bright, that's where we win. Angry Cowboys fan.
What's going on, Cowboys Nation and angry Cowboys fans around the world? Y'all know who it is. It's your man, the Angry Cowboys fan and Cowboys Nation. I am excited. I'm truly excited about the recent contract extension of Javonte Williams. I released a video about my instant reaction of the extension, and I told y'all that I'd give y'all the specifics when it came to Javonte Williams' extension, but I wanted to actually get that video out, and I want to be precise when it comes to everything, when it comes to the numbers, and I didn't have them at that point in time. So why am I excited? Let's go ahead and dive into that a little bit more during this Raw and Uncut. Get ready for the Angry Cowboys fans, Raw and Uncut.
I'm being keeping it real. They keep it real. That's real.
Cowboys Nation, the Javonte Williams extension was a 3-year, $24 million contract with a $16 million guarantee. I'm sorry that I couldn't give y'all the numbers when I did my video before, but I needed to do my due diligence in getting the correct numbers and not just spitballing or guessing. Y'all deserve more accurate information, and I'm going to give it to you, Cowboys Nation. But the reason why I am so excited about this extension is because the Dallas Cowboys front office continues to make moves that show me and the rest of Cowboys Nation that they are standing on business this year. I understand that some people still don't believe it, and they want to cast a dark cloud over any moves that are made by the Dallas Cowboys in the front office, but this was a great move by Jerry and Stephen Jones. They wanted Javonte Williams as their running back for the immediate future, and that's what they did. They wasted no time in extending them. But this negotiation was projected to be during the 2026 NFL Combine, and for them to get it done before the Combine should really put a smile on the faces of Cowboys Nation. Those glass-half-empty fans might still be a little bit pessimistic, but that's okay, Cowboys Nation. I'm not going to tell them how to fan, but at the same time, they shouldn't come on here trying to steal everybody's thunder and the excitement that they have for this contract. But with this extension, it tells me that this front office is doing something that the Dallas Cowboys fans have been wanting them to do for years, and that's handle the contracts quickly as well as be proactive with the contract negotiations. They did just that with Javonte Williams. They kept things close to the chest, and they pulled the trigger. Number 33 will be a Dallas Cowboy for the next 3 years. But this contract also has heavy emphasis on the guaranteed money. Javonte Williams signed for a contract that would have him ranked 16th when it comes to running backs in salary, 11th when it comes to running backs guaranteed money, while he ranked 9th in rushing yards and 7th in rushing touchdowns. It's a pretty good contract, Cowboys Nation. But this also tells me that there's one less agent that Jerry and Stephen Jones have to worry about heading to the Combine. The next 3 players that they should be looking at extending: Jadeveon Clowney, the second-round tender on Brandon Aubrey, and the controversial extension of one George Pickens. But Cowboys Nation, being on X and reading all the debates about whether George Pickens should get traded or we should pay him has been giving off legacy media vibes. I'll keep it a buck, Cowboys Nation. Like it's all about the debate nowadays, and it's got me wondering, why does everything have to be a debate? Why am I tuning in to new media when all it is a reiteration of legacy media? Straight debates. I'm gonna keep it a buck with y'all, Cowboys Nation. No one's gonna move me off of wanting to extend George Pickens and continue to capitalize off the player that Cowboys Nation begged Jerry and Stephen Jones for 2 years running. I don't have to go through the history of the wide receiver duos or if there's been any dynamic wide receiver duos to win a Super Bowl in the history of the NFL. Just like I don't have to go through how many dynamic edge rushers has led their defense to and won a Super Bowl championship. The NFL is a fluid entity, meaning that what worked in the 1990s may not work in 2026. all I keep hearing is that defense wins championships. Shoot, I've even gone on record saying that defense wins championships before. But what does every Cowboys fan hear when it comes to the 2 times that we met the San Francisco 49ers in the playoffs? Why couldn't the offense score more touchdowns? Now that we have a firepower, we have a foolproof plan at the wide receiver position against any defense. Let's go ahead and take away the weapon so that we can put another weapon on the defense, right? Addition by subtraction. My thing is this, Cowboys Nation. If we were to trade George Pickens away, would that 12th overall pick go to replacing George Pickens, or would we want to spend that on the defense as well? Here we are in a year of our Lord, 2026, and some want our quarterback to go back to pulling rabbits out of hats and spamming CeeDee Lamb. Dak Prescott, another year older, but hey, we want him to ironically do more. But one thing that I keep seeing is how we let go of an elite talent in Micah Parsons. But the answer is not to let go of another elite talent on the offensive side of the ball. As much as people miss Micah Parsons and want to answer for Micah, he's not coming back. He's not coming back to the Dallas Cowboys, and you probably won't find another player of his caliber that's also a team player, that also can help stop the run. Now, what if people were asking the Dallas Cowboys to, let's say, trade Tyler Smith or Cooper Beebe? That would be a hard no from Cowboys Nation, right? So why is it trade George Pickens or remain soft? I'll say this, Cowboys Nation. The Dallas Cowboys defense wasn't soft just because we didn't have Micah Parsons at the pass rushing position. It wasn't soft because we couldn't consistently get sacks on the quarterback. The Dallas Cowboys defense was soft due to the lack of leadership and coaching from Matt Eberflus. I'm not going to say that Christian Parker's going to have all the answers, but I do believe that he will have more answers than Matt Eberflus and will help this Dallas Cowboys defense be better than what it was last year. But you know, Cowboys Nation, being a Dallas Cowboys fan and watching football is a way for me to escape the harshness of everyday reality. A way to just tune in and forget the issues that I may be facing in real life, at least for 3.5 hours, Cowboys Nation. The Dallas Cowboys football helped me channel my emotions after losing my brother as well as my grandmother this past year. Instead of enjoying the process, I get bombarded with the holier-than-thou mentality when I'm just trying to fan, as if some people are the only ones who knows what's best for the Dallas Cowboys. We are all free to voice our opinions about how this team can get better, how this team can win, but when you spend all day going back and forth with another fan, it just seems as if they're trying to convince you that their way's better and your way's wrong. It's either their way or the highway. I can't do that, Cowboys Nation. I can't just go against what I believe in order to feel acceptance or to be a part of the cool crowd, and I don't expect the cool crowd to even hear what I have to say as a rebuttal. But to have the it's my way or the team will suck type of mentality is one that I will never subscribe to, Cowboys Nation. Each one of you may have an idea on how the Dallas Cowboys can get better. Who am I to tell you that your take's wrong? Who am I to tell other content creators that their takes are wrong? Especially if they're subjective opinions, Cowboys Nation. I've said this in numerous videos. And as we speak about the George Pickens contract situation, John Machota put out a video on X talking with Stephen Jones about George Pickens and the franchise tag. So let's go ahead and take a listen to that real quick so we can break it down. You know what I'm saying, Cowboys Nation? Watch the clip. All right, Cowboys Nation, we over here on my X account looking at John Machota's video that he put up of Stephen Jones talking about the George Pickens contract situation. Let's go ahead and press that play button real quick.
It crosses your mind. I mean, a lot of guys who we've tagged, participated in everything. Dak leading the way. He played under 2 of them, so he never missed anything. Hopefully that'll be the case here.
Would it be advantageous to get it done before July? I'm talking about Pickens.
I wouldn't put any time frame.
But considering
once you have a tag, you have a tag, and we know George is going to be here. And that's where we are.
Is there a downside to the tag, whether it's $28 million or whatever the number is?
Nope.
Flatly
We know what it is.
And you can still shop and do everything.
We can do everything we need to do.
Yeah.
We can do everything we need to do, Cowboys Nation. This is smart on Stephen Jones's part, Cowboys Nation. Real talk. This is smart. This isn't showing his hand. This isn't showing desperation. This is showing that we are all set on whatever decision that George Pickens and David Mulugheta want to present. But let's go ahead and go back over to the office real quick. Cowboys Nation, there is a level of assurity in Stephen Jones's voice in that video, a level of determination in his voice. We are dead set in our decision in tagging George Pickens. We know what the ramifications are in tagging George Pickens. We know what the tag cost, and we are prepared to go into the season with him on the franchise tag. That is a great negotiation tactic, Cowboys Nation. Now let's go ahead and get into my thoughts about it a little bit more. Everybody knows the franchise tag that there is a downside in using the franchise tag when it comes to the salary cap ramifications for 2026. That's $28.8 million against this year's salary cap, but this is a complete strategy of Stephen Jones. If he were to get up there and speak about not wanting to use the franchise tag, David Mulugheta would use that to his advantage in trying to get him to sign George Pickens to a higher number. This is poker, Cowboys Nation. Stephen Jones has his poker face on and is waiting for David Mulugheta to go ahead and call his bluff. But the fact he said, we know George will be here, puts all the pressure on George Pickens and David Mulugheta. This isn't Jerry and Stephen Jones putting negative spins out there in the media. It's putting a sense of belief in their player and how they want him here, which is a great negotiation tactic. I'm going to keep it a buck. Years prior, they would have spoke about it as if they didn't need the player on the team and that the team would be good without the player, and that's not the case right now. I also believe this is a ploy from Stephen Jones to put out in the media that they're not afraid in using the franchise tag against George Pickens. There's not a timetable on a long-term contract, meaning that the Dallas Cowboys are willing to go into the season with George Pickens under the franchise tag. Sure, David Mulugheta and George Pickens can call their bluff, but like Stephen Jones said, Dak Prescott played on the tag, and that's the number one position on the damn team. If they were not afraid to use the franchise tag on Dak Prescott, why would they be scared to use it on George Pickens? But I honestly believe that they're not going to have to go into this season with George Pickens on the franchise tag. I believe that a long-term deal is going to get done before the July deadline. That's if Jerry and Stephen Jones don't decide to try and lowball George Pickens in these contract negotiations. Don't insult David Mulugheta and George Pickens' intelligence by trying to get him to sign to a lower contract. Go into these negotiations with legitimate numbers. We all know that David Mulugheta is going to go into these negotiations trying to get his client as much money as possible. That's his job, Cowboys Nation. It all depends on where their starting point is. If their ceiling's $37 million, then that's great for the Dallas Cowboys. There's been this $30 million number that's been coming from the media, and if that's the case, you ask no questions and you sign that man pronto. Don't try to get a lower number like $26 million. His market value's at $30 million. Don't try to be cute and just get the deal done, Stephen Jones. But it's going to be advantageous for CeeDee Lamb and Dak Prescott to have George Pickens in his DMs talking him through anything that's about to happen, informing him of its options. And I understand that David Mulugheta is going to tell him his options, but David Mulugheta has never played on the franchise tag. He's never had to hold out. He's never had to watch his brothers aim to get better without him. That all falls on George Pickens' shoulders. But I remember when CeeDee Lamb was interviewed about his choice on holding out, and he could tell you that he regretted the holdout and he doesn't ever want to go back to that type of situation. It would be advantageous for him to tell George Pickens this. Dak Prescott needs to inform George Pickens about the slander that could come from the media, the fans, and even the organization. This way he's not blindsided and filled with emotions like Micah Parsons was. Not only that, but CeeDee Lamb was with the Dallas Cowboys 4 years before holding out. He knew the offense. I bet he thought he could just continue his conditioning in Miami and nothing would be different. You could see the complete difference, and so could CeeDee Lamb in 2024. This is why I think he regretted his decision, but it was a decision he felt he had to make. Now, he could share that experience with his brother, George Pickens, and hopefully gain some ground when it comes to Pickens being with the team and playing during the season if he is indeed franchise tagged. I'm not going to get on here and advise a player to play on the tag or not to play on the tag. I'm going to get on here and I'm going to advise him to do what he feels is better for him. Not for David Mulugheta, not for Jerry and Stephen Jones or the Dallas Cowboys or Cowboys Nation. What's good for him? If he feels he has to hold out in order to get his money, then that's what you got to do. But I feel that there's a fork in the road when it comes to this whole franchise tag with George Pickens. I feel if he's presented with the franchise tag and he takes it on the chin and continues to show up, Jerry and Stephen Jones will have no problem in extending George Pickens. They will get him signed. If he holds out, I feel they're going to view it as a guy that cares more about his bag than he does about the team moving forward. And as history's shown, Cowboys Nation, Jerry Jones and Stephen Jones eventually signed their top players. Micah's the only one that really fell through the cracks. Recently. Micah's fans will point out that they didn't pay Micah, but will neglect to mention the other top players who they eventually paid. Pickens will be the 9th player for the Dallas Cowboys to play on the franchise tag if that's the case. Recently, Tony Pollard and Dalton Schultz were 2 players who didn't receive an extension after the franchise tag. Des Bryant, DeMarcus Lawrence, Dak Prescott all bet on themselves and was rewarded in the end. Shoot, D-Law was happy to sign his franchise tag because he saw it as an opportunity to double dip at the bag and get a lot of guaranteed money in 1 year. The tag does lack long-term security, but it also offers a bigger bag than what an extension would offer right now. But one thing that Jerry and Stephen Jones need to keep in mind is the upcoming wide receiver contracts that are on the horizon. Players the likes of the Seattle Seahawks stud wide receiver Jackson Smith-Njigba. His rookie deal ends at the conclusion of the 2026 season. We all know he's going to get a record-breaking contract. The Seattle Seahawks have the option to use his 5th-year option, but that's going to make the wide receiver market jump significantly. So if the Dallas Cowboys want to dodge a bullet, they will get this contract done this year to avoid having to negotiate using Jackson Smith-Njigba's ceiling. You know what I'm saying, Cowboys Nation? But I feel this extension of Javonte Williams has shown Cowboys fans that the Dallas Cowboys front office is currently in deal mode, something that they haven't done in a long time. It gives me hope that we'll continue to be in deal mode when it comes to George Pickens, when it comes to Brandon Aubrey, or Jadeveon Clowney, all of which need to be on this Dallas Cowboys roster for the 2026 season. But I understand the skepticism when it comes to putting your beliefs in the front office of the Dallas Cowboys. I truly do, Cowboys Nation. Jerry and Stephen Jones haven't been the best when it comes to getting ahead of the curve and signing their players before it becomes an issue. But there's also 2 sides to the story, Cowboys Nation. Who knows if David Mulugheta wouldn't advise George Pickens to play on the franchise tag so they could get a bite at that Jackson Smith-Njigba type money. So hopefully this plays out to the advantage of the Dallas Cowboys and Cowboys Nation. Hopefully, we'll be buying that George Pickens jersey at the start of this regular season. But this has been your man, the Angry Cowboys fan. Cowboys Nation, how do you feel about the Javonte Williams contract extension? Do you feel that it'll have an impact on the George Pickens extension? Y'all know how we do. We always talk about it in the comment section. If you're digging this content and you want to help the channel reach its current goal of 20,000 subscribers, drop a like on this video, share it with anybody that you know is a Dallas Cowboys fan, and if you're on your mobile device and you haven't used them up yet, make sure you hype this video. Doing so will help get this content out to Dallas Cowboys fans. They'll come over to the Angry Cowboys Fan YouTube channel and want to become Angry Cowboys fans themselves. And if you are DC for life and you're excited on how the Dallas Cowboys have been moving as of late, hit that subscribe button. Hit the bell to be notified whenever I go live, release another video, podcast episode, or film breakdowns. You can catch the Madden 26 and College Football 26 gameplay on the other channel, the Angry Cowboys Fan Gaming Channel. I'll put the link to that as well as my gamer tag in the description. The Combine's coming up, Cowboys Nation. The days where we get to see the prospects in action while also get to see what deals are going to get done. Will George Pickens' contract get done this Combine? Only time will tell. But until then, this has been your man, the Angry Cowboys fan, and I'm out. Dang, Angry Cowboys fan, you done made it through the entire video. But if you want more content, you can definitely go to this video right here. Or if you want the latest episode of the Angry Cowboys Fan Podcast, you can go right here. But whatever you do, like, share, and subscribe to the channel, but remain DC for life.